For centuries, Mars has hung in our night sky as a rust-colored point of light, a wanderer the ancient Romans named after their god of war. But today, that same red dot represents something entirely different. Hope. Hope that humanity might become a species that lives on more than one world. Why Mars? Of every planet and moon in our solar system, Mars is the closest thing we have to a second Earth. A Martian day, called a sol, lasts 24 hours and 39 minutes, almost identical to our own. It has seasons, because its axis tilts at nearly the same angle as Earth's. It once had rivers, lakes, and maybe even oceans, carved into the landscape we can still see today in dry riverbeds and eroded canyons. And crucially, Mars has water, not liquid on the surface, but locked away as ice beneath the soil and in polar caps of frozen carbon dioxide and water. Water means drinking supplies. It means growing food. And split into hydrogen and oxygen, it means breathable air and rocket fuel for the journey home. But let's be honest about the challenges, because they are enormous. Mars is cold, brutally cold. Average temperatures hover around negative 60 degrees Celsius. Its atmosphere is thin, less than 1% the pressure of Earth's, made mostly of carbon dioxide, and it offers almost no protection from solar radiation or cosmic rays. Without a global magnetic field like Earth's, Mars is exposed to the raw fury of space weather. Gravity there is just 38% of what we feel on Earth. We don't yet fully understand what decades in that gravity would do to human bones, muscles, or hearts. And then there's distance. Even at its closest, Mars is about 54 million kilometers away. A journey there takes 6 to 9 months, one way, sealed inside a spacecraft with no chance of turning back. So why go at all? Because throughout history, exploration has been how humanity grows. Every ocean we crossed, every continent we settled, expanded not just our territory, but our imagination. What we believed was possible. Mars represents that same frontier, scaled up to the size of a planet. There's also the matter of survival. Earth is precious and irreplaceable, but it isn't invulnerable. Asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes, and other existential risks, however rare, remind us that keeping all of humanity's eggs in one basket is a gamble. A self-sustaining settlement on Mars would be a kind of insurance policy for our species, a backup copy of civilization. And scientifically, Mars might hold answers to one of our oldest questions. Are we alone? If life ever existed there, even microbial life, billions of years ago, finding evidence of it would reshape our understanding of biology itself and hint that life may be common throughout the universe. So what would it actually take to live there? First, robotic scouts, rovers, and orbiters, mapping resources, testing soil, and identifying safe landing zones. We've already sent many: Curiosity, Perseverance, and others, quietly gathering the data that future astronauts will depend on. Then come uncrewed cargo missions, delivering habitats, power systems, and life support equipment ahead of any human arrival, so that by the time astronauts land, shelter and supplies are already waiting. Habitats would likely be built partially underground or shielded with Martian soil, called regolith, to block radiation. Greenhouses would grow food using hydroponics. Nuclear or solar power would keep the lights on through Mars's long, dust storm-prone winters. And a technique called in situ resource utilization, living off the land, essentially, would let settlers manufacture fuel, water, and oxygen from local ice and atmosphere, rather than hauling every resource from Earth. None of this is science fiction anymore. Space agencies and private companies alike are actively developing the rockets, habitats, and life support systems this future would require. Whether the first boot prints on Mars come in the next decade or the next several, the groundwork being laid today is real. Of course, a Martian colony wouldn't happen overnight, and it wouldn't look like Earth. Early settlements would likely be small, scientific outposts, more like Antarctic research stations than cities. Growth would be slow, careful, and hard-won. But if it succeeds, it would mark the first time in history that human beings live as a two-planet species. Mars won't replace Earth. No red desert, however promising, could ever replace the blue oceans, green forests, and living skies of home. But it might become something just as important: a second chapter. A place where humanity proves that we can carry life, our life, beyond the only world we've ever known. And maybe that's the real story of Mars. Not an escape from Earth, but an extension of it. A reminder that, as long as humans have looked up at the stars, we've wanted to go there. Now, for the first time, we actually can.